Plot, In the Dark, 2019. A young, blind woman tries to solve her friend's murder. Plot, Pilot, 2019. While out for a walk, Murphy stumbles upon what she sure is the lifeless body of her close friend Tyson. When the police arrive, there is no body, making them reluctant to investigate. Murphy resolves to learn what happened to Tyson. Plot, Mommy Issues 2019. After Murphy's latest one-night stand calls her mommy, she develops a rather unexpected lead in Tyson's case. Chloe thinks it's time for her father to create a dating profile. Murphy helps Jess pick out a gift for her girlfriend. Plot, The Big Break. Murphy enlists an unwitting Felix to help locate Tyson's girlfriend, Kira. Murphy and Felix their first heart-to-heart under the bleachers, and Dean does his best to be there for Chloe as she experiences a rite of passage. Voiceover off.
When you're blind and watching movies, what will you find? A blind superhero whose superpowers are acting like he's not blind. A sighted actor over-dramatically touching people's faces. And maybe the whole joke is that they're bumping into different places. A spectacular, macular degeneration. Tunnel vision to your television. And do they off this movie with audio descriptions? They're movie buffs who know their stuff. You'll be thoroughly entertained. Join Sky and Melissa throughout film history and Citizen White Cane.
Hello.
Hi.
And welcome to Citizen White Cane. I'm Sky.
I'm Melissa.
And In the Dark on the CW, Times We Live In, this podcast is the guiding hope fictional guide dog training facility from the show.
Perfect.
Yes, we talk about blind people, blind characters in movies and TV shows on this podcast. And today we are talking about a TV show. We're talking about In the Dark on the CW.
Yep. Currently airing its second season. The show premiered last year in 2019.
Yep, and is, according to IMDb, has a third season that's theoretically going to happen, but I don't know. IMDb just does all sorts of weird things.
Right. We also don't know in this world what is going to happen as well.
Right. Yeah.
But fingers crossed, because if anything, I mean, we've only watched the first 3 episodes together, but I'm on board. I'm hooked. I cannot believe that I didn't know this show existed, because I had no idea.
It's so funny that that you didn't know, because I feel like I'm very non-up-to-date on blind people, but I did blind people in the media. Well, I mean, now I am because of the podcast, but like before doing the podcast, but I didn't know about this show. I mean, there's kind of just two. I mean, at least to my knowledge, it's C in this show are the two that are on currently.
I guess I would blame me not knowing on... my roommate and I have cable TV, but we don't have access. I mean, I use the TV sometimes, but I don't go down there to like actually physically watch TV. I don't have the TV on in the background. A lot of the times I stream everything, so I'm just calling up whatever I want to watch.
Right. I mean, I definitely do not have TV. No, this household does not have any TV at all. I haven't had a TV in like, oh God, like 7 years of like actually having like being able to access the TV. But it is on Netflix, so it is streaming on Netflix, and also it has audio descriptions, which is really dope. And I just realized, even though it's streaming on Netflix, it's not a Netflix show, but they still have audio descriptions, which it wasn't until just now that I realized that, like, because all the Netflix shows do have audio descriptions, but it's not because it's a Netflix show that it has audio descriptions, which is kind of cool, because I feel like a lot of the shows that are on TV do not have audio descriptions when you watch them on the streamer. So that is very nice to see. But I think also probably it's because of Daredevil, I would guess.
I would think so. I mean, there was a massive pushback from the blind community when, this show happened, and then we're just not going to do audio description. And I mean, Daredevil is in tone such a dark show, and in cinematography such a dark show.
So dark in cinematography. It is very obnoxious.
Yeah. So I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
And also Daredevil falls into the trap that C also falls into, that this one does not as much, which is that there's so many fighting scenes that are like, just like for an audio describer, just constantly having to like describe the fighting. And then also I think I mean, I think that we differ on this one because I just get very bored by like. Yeah, I just kind of zone out instantly.
I really do enjoy hearing what is going on.
Yeah,
I think I get more bored if I have to watch a series of fight scenes that don't have audio description because I'm just like, cool, flailing bodies. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, that is the most boring. Yeah,
yeah. But if you tell me what is happening, I'm more inclined to be interested.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it depends on how cool the fight scenes are, I guess. But I don't know. I think I'm also just like, maybe I get more bored by it because I just love listening to dialogue and stuff. So I think it's more I'm just like, oh, but no one's talking.
Well, luckily for us, this show doesn't feature a lot of fighting or combat. I
don't think it has any at all.
I mean, except for when our main character gets mugged in the flashback. But no, you're right. Now I actually didn't watch the show with audio description. I just
really?
that thought just never crossed my mind. I'm just so used to booting up Netflix and watching whatever and forgetting the audio description is there. I should have it turned on. I don't.
Oh, yeah, because it just does it automatically on mine.
That is super cool.
Yeah, if you turn on audio description, I'm pretty sure it's just does it automatically. I don't think you need assist to do it in the system, your computer settings or anything. I think it's just once you when you select audio descriptions on Netflix, then it will just default to that.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, I will start doing that because I should be watching this with audio descriptions, even though I'm really not having any trouble keeping up with who is speaking or who the characters are.
Yeah, there's a few things that the audio descriptions helped me with, I think. I'm trying to remember. I can't actually remember them off the top of my head, but they're pretty good. I mean, I think that it definitely helped and yeah, now I'm trying to think of any specific examples, but I can't think of any. But I mean, now I've just generally it has gone to a point where I do notice way more when they don't have audio descriptions, because it is really hard. And another nice thing about having audio descriptions is if I need to look up something, I still have totally know what's going on, which is so great. But yeah, no, it is. I have gone to a point where I do probably notice it a lot more when it's not on. So I like that they also will say people's facial expressions. I feel like this one that did really help me as well.
That would be nice because sometimes I'm not so good. I'm not good at reading facial expressions very well unless they're big and over the top, and so it would be nice to know so and so's face is confused or downtrodden or angry or taciturn or whatever, happy,
right. And they have a lot of the facial expression in the audio description. Cool. Yeah. So
well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this with audio description from now
yeah,
on, I think.
We'll come back to it. Because we've only seen the first 3 episodes. That's what we're talking about today. So
yes,
there'll be plenty more episodes to watch with audio descriptions. But yeah, so just to kind of give a sense of the show, I said last week that when I was saying we were going to watch it, that it's the Blind Veronica Mars. At least that's the sense I got. So now that we've seen it, I can confirm it is Blind Veronica Mars.
Very much so, yeah. I mean, and horrible nerd confession, I've actually not seen a single episode of Veronica Mars.
Well, I have seen every single episode at least 15 times. I for a very long time. I was went to rewatch it and be like, well, I haven't seen it in so long. I bet I won't remember. And I saw the pilot and I was like, oh no, I literally know every single line. I was able to be like, oh no, I know the next line they're gonna say, and I was like, I guess I still remember all this.
Well, that's what's cool about a good show. It never truly leaves you.
Yeah, well, Veronica Mars was kind of just engulfed my life for a couple years when it was on. So that was part of it, is that it was just a big part of my life. But I can be the resident Veronica Mars person on the podcast.
Perfect.
But yeah, so and Veronica Mars is a high school. It takes place in a high school, so it is a lot more like it does have kind of more of the high school-y, like just like tropes sort of, I guess. Like that figures into it in a way that this show doesn't, because it's about adults.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, which also means there's more sex in this show than there would be in Veronica Mars.
So much sex in this show. Holy smokes. I'm really surprised, about what they actually can get away with talking about. And
because it
B,
is the CW.
what they show. Yeah. Not that I'm a prude. I enjoy HBO just as much as the next person. Like, the sex doesn't bother me. It was just kind of surprising.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sex in this show.
There is. It is kind of like the way it's shot. I guess they can probably get away with it. I don't even know if they have boobs.
No.
Like,
There's nothing.
It's one of those where they're always wearing a bra. That is really funny when they have, like, when network shows that actually on TV, they have to, like, wear a bra, and it's like, that is, no one does that.
What I thought was really funny, and I kind of can't believe they got away with it. I mean, wow, okay, actually, we haven't even talked about, like, who the characters are in this show. But no, the show opens with sex, and with our main character,
that's true, it does.
Murphy. With our main character Murphy, having brought another guy home, having drunkenly brought another guy home, because she likes to participate in drunken sex, basically.
Yeah, or like a casual sex, I guess.
Thank
is the
you.
idea.
Casual sex is better.
Yeah.
Is better phrasing. Yeah. So Murphy likes casual sex, and we meet her, and Murphy is not a very put together person at all.
Yeah, she's very self-destructive. Like, sleeps around, but also kind of just like kind of a self-absorbed kind of thing too. Like, she's very
a little bit. She's really nihilistic.
Yeah.
Why should she have to care about herself when nobody else cares about her, as far as, appearance and how she acts and things like that. Her roommate Jess, who is the most tolerant, patient. She's a goddamn angel. Great. I love Jess. Jess is her roommate, and Jess is the one who comes in every day and picks her up off the floor and makes her breakfast and makes sure she gets to work on time. Coincidentally, they work at the same place. Jess is a vet, and Murphy works at her parents' guide dog facility, Guide Dogs for Hope.
It's Guiding Hope.
Guiding Hope, thank you. Oh my God, you just said it in the intro.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, Guiding Hope.
I had to look it up before when I was making the intro. So yeah, it is kind of she like, and I guess at the beginning of the show, Murphy is working at Guiding Hope, and it's not clear what she does.
Huge air quotes. Yeah, working. Yeah, and her parents pay her a wage, I'm assuming.
Right, but then she's like, but then someone's leaving in the pilot episode.
The receptionist.
Right, and so that is the job that she takes over. But what I didn't understand is what job she was doing in the first episode.
No, I think that's the joke, and that's just the starting place that she's coming from. She's coming from the bottom. I mean, she does nothing. She takes naps.
Right,
that's what she does.
But then what is she getting? She had, like, was she just not also getting paid to work?
From context, it's never stated, but from context, I assume that her parents were paying her something.
Right.
Because she doesn't want to get a real job.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I guess it doesn't really go into the fact that, like, we don't know how easy it would be to get a real job.
Right.
Also.
That's not the story the show's trying to tell. So this is where she starts, basically.
Yeah.
She goes after work every night. She goes to her local Stop and Go and gets a pack of cigarettes and a candy bar every night. Oh, and condoms or something. Well, no.
Well, she gets the morning after pill and the
right, because she says better than condoms. But anyway,
that's just probably not true.
So problematic. Okay, but so she picks up her things and she goes to this alley to hang out with her best friend, Tyson.
Yes, who is a teenager.
Right, he's like 17.
Yeah,
and him and his buddies hang out in this alley, and they hang out together, and he eats candy, and they just shoot the shit. And we learn that they are BFFs because Tyson actually saved her from a mugging.
Yeah. Right, and we learned this kind of like halfway through the episode, but we can just say it now.
Yeah, yeah.
It flows easier. But yeah, so that's kind of, yeah, I guess that's kind of establishing her character the first like 10 minutes of the show. And we also have the first time we meet Tyson is also turns out to be the last time that she spends time with him, because in that scene where we meet him, he's like joking about touching faces.
Right. They have a whole let's touch each other's faces. You should touch my face.
Which at least so at least Murphy is like, that's stupid. People don't do that. Which is how you know that there's like blind staff writers.
Yes, and there are. We can confirm some of the writers on this show are blind.
A couple of the staff writers are blind, and I am very annoyed with the internet today because I couldn't easily find what their names are, so I very much apologize.
But we love you.
Yeah, we'll come back to
writing.
This, and I'll spend more time figuring it out. But yeah, so that's. That conversation, you could definitely tell that there were two blind staff writers, but also I felt like probably sighted people, because they're like, well, we have to have this trope, and the blind people are like, can we make it at least like more realistic if we have to do this? Like, can we at least call out that it's stupid?
Yes, and I mean, and oh my God, and we see Murphy from the jump use either her cane or her dog. She has like the world's cutest guide dog. He's just this scruffy little thing. Named Pretzel.
Played by Levi the dog.
Played by Levi the dog. Love it.
And well, she really isn't using Pretzel that much in the beginning. She's very reluctant to.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I was like, you're using a cane, great, props, but props to you, not prop cane, but prop, literally.
I mean,
props
it is
to you.
a literal prop.
It is a literal prop cane, because the actress who plays Murphy is not blind. But
is it not a prop if you are using it as an actor?
Yes, I would say it's a prop, because if it is something that you only use when you're doing your job, when you're acting, it's a prop.
But is it not a prop when a blind actor uses a cane?
No. I guess that's where I would make the distinction.
What if it's a different cane than their personal cane?
Then it's a prop.
Even if they're still using it as an accessibility device?
Yeah, if it's a different cane than their original cane, it's a prop.
Interesting.
I guess I'm drawing the line at, is it something that you only use when you are acting, when you are filming,
right,
and then you put it away? That's a prop.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I guess I was thinking too, which is why I asked that, which is why I made that very specific scenario. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's interesting. I mean, I think I basically agree with you. But it's funny. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's like a philosophical.
Yeah, okay. So when I played Titus back home, when I played Titus Andronicus, we played him as a blind character. So Titus had his own cane.
Oh, so that was a different cane.
Yeah, and I used it like a cane on stage. I used it as if it was my cane, but it was prop, because I couldn't take it home with me.
Right. And then the other question is, like, what if it's you have to get the right size? Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to get something that's not that far from a duplicate from your own cane. Right. So that's also kind of silly.
Yeah. However, Titus's cane looked much different than my cane, because I couldn't just walk around with a cane. With a modern cane. We set this in ancient Rome.
Oh, okay. Well, then that though feels like that's a little bit different, because then you are really like, it couldn't be your own cane. Like, you did have to use a prop.
Right.
Whereas, like, if it was a show like this that takes place in the common time, where and we will talk about this, but one of the actors who plays how much do we want to jump ahead?
Sure. So, well, very quickly, we'll talk about her more in detail. But there is another character on this show who is blind, who is actually played by a visually impaired actress. And yes, she uses her cane. So I think I know where you're going with this. Is that actually her cane?
Yeah.
Yes, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. Unless like my cane, I love my cane, but my cane is a piece of garbage.
Well, it is. I did. Well, it is kind of funny because I noticed how beat up it was, and I was like, "Oh, that looks like a real person's cane. Maybe this is like actually her cane.
It's probably her cane."
Like, because when we were looking up and seeing that she was blind, you called it, which I actually did not. I was focused on how Murphy was obviously not played by a blind actress.
I can't tell you how I know. I took one look at her when she walked on screen. And I was like, "Oh, she's blind. She's actually blind."
And okay, granted, I did notice that I was like, she is a lot better at playing a blind character. So I feel like my thing was, maybe I was like, oh, maybe she is blind. I don't know. It would be weird if I was just like, well, she's really good at playing a blind. I'm sure I thought she must be blind. That makes way more sense.
Yeah, I would hope that the prop department would ask an actor if they are comfortable using a cane that they have provided, or if they would be more comfortable using their own cane. But I mean, if they would prefer the actor to have a cane that looks visually better, because again, as much as we're talking about it, this is a visual medium. So if they want the cane to look nice,
but a visually better cane would be one that looks more real. So
sure,
it'd be a beat up one, really.
Yes, I mean, yeah, I'm all for actors using their own canes. I think they should be allowed to use their own canes, but if their cane is super beat up and janky,
then
they might decide to give them a nicer cane.
Yeah, well, maybe if you have like a lawyer who's blind, like someone who's put together, who might like oh, their cane wouldn't be janky, but then you have someone who's a little bit more like the characters, well, especially Murphy, and like, oh, okay, so her cane would be more beat up.
Sure,
like a good character.
Yeah, I would buy that. I would buy that for $1. Yeah,
then I would understand. And that's like, that would be a good use of a prop department. But if it's like, but if you just like person who you're not trying to demonstrate that they're, really put together, or that they're really not, I feel like using your own cane just makes it more realistic.
Definitely. I mean, hands down, I would feel more comfortable using my own cane. That's not to say I didn't feel uncomfortable when I had to use the prop cane. I had month and a half of rehearsal to get used to that cane.
Yeah.
So at the end of it, I was fine switching out canes.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that that the actress who played Murphy took an actual cane home and practiced with it. She must have.
Well, yeah, but though she does use the dog for most of the series.
Yeah.
And we can, to go kind of a little bit back to the plot, we
were talking about Tyson. Perry Matfield. So she plays our main character of Murphy, and we see Murphy and Tyson just in the alley shooting the shit, and then we cut to next day when she decides to go to do like she always does, go to the bar, hang out with, and then go to the alley and hang out with Tyson. And Tyson isn't there, and she is looking or listening around for him, and then she has Pretzel at this point. Pretzel's freaking out, and Pretzel won't let her go any further, and she won't, why can't I go further? Yeah, Pretzel actually freaks out and is like, no, don't do this. So she lets Pretzel go and goes further and finds a body, and after touching the body's face, because they had the whole interaction last night, she's convinced, and I believe her, that this is Tyson's body.
Which, okay, would you be able to recognize someone's face, especially when you are a normal blind person and you're not touching people's faces to identify them?
Probably not.
Yeah, that feels like TV logic that doesn't make any sense.
Definitely. I'm going on the fact that she just did this last night, and if Tyson's face is the only face she's ever felt,
but then you could be like, this is maybe how all faces feel.
True. Also, I don't want Tyson to be dead. I really hope Tyson is alive.
Really? Do you think he's alive?
No, I don't think he's alive. I think she found him, and I think he's dead. But now, also, we, the viewer, we don't see the body either.
Right.
We don't see his face. We don't see anything. We have to trust Murphy.
Right.
Or
Which it is
not
kind of-
trust her.
That is kind of interesting. I think that, like, the one thing I would say is I think that the TV logic is that she'd be able to recognize a face. I do think that it would be very easy to recognize that it's a body.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I mean, the head is connected to a neck, which is connected. All you got to do is feel.
Right, exactly. It's easy to feel to tell that it's a body. So I think that is more believable. Yeah, I think that, like, if it was someone else's body, then that would create a whole different sort of logical story thing that we would have to deal with. So I think that, like, that is why it is, I think it is probably Tyson, but also just, like, I know that she would have been able to feel a body. And the fact that then the body is gone. Did we say that yet? That then...
No, yeah. So she goes, she freaks out, and the police are called, and they go back to collect the body, and there's no body.
Right.
So
that's what makes me think it has to be him, or, like, because the fact that the body is gone, that wouldn't make any sense if it was someone else's body. Under no circumstances would you feel something, think it's a body, and it's not. Like, that just wouldn't happen, I don't think.
Right. I really think Tyson is dead.
Yeah.
But, the show has set up a really interesting mystery. And even though you only get to see, in the first episode at least, you only see Tyson once, you still feel really attached to him. Their relationship is
we also
really
see
awesome.
Flashbacks
In
of
other
the two of
episodes,
them.
you do see flashbacks.
It is very Lily, Veronica Mars' friend who dies, and that's the whole first season. It is very similar to that. We see them in flashbacks and like have kind of their best friends, so it's that makes the mystery very personal. So it is a very similar thing, but we're seeing flashbacks with each episode, so it is kind of like something where you can kind of simultaneously build the sense of a relationship in the viewer's mind, while also, like, the entire time he is, like, most likely dead. Because it's also, like, not even at the end of, like, the first episode, he is dead, or, like, she finds his body, like, maybe in the first, like, 10 minutes of the first episode.
Yeah, it happens pretty suddenly.
Yeah, mm-hmm. So it is, like, and we only see one scene chronologically in the story of him being alive, so it's definitely kind of like a good trick of, like, TV trick of, like, making it so that you can both simultaneously build the relationship while also finding the person who killed the person search, which you kind of have to do. So that's so we kind of are getting more information about him in the 3 episodes that we watched, and each episode I feel like we kind of build more kind of facets of his life, and it's also a lot of things are like, oh well, it's kind of like her finding out about him, because part of, and I think we've already started to talk about this, but, like, part of the reason why she, like, because she Murphy, like, goes to solve is trying to solve his disappearance or
right,
murder.
because the police don't want to rule it as a murder.
Right.
I mean, they don't even rule it. They say they won't even rule it as a missing person until his mother,
mom.
Files the report, because Murphy can't, because Murphy's his friend and not his legal guardian.
Right. And he is 17, so he's also kind of on the cusp of, like, when someone's a runaway or like, and all, that kind of legal gray area of that.
And we meet the 2 officers, one of whom is Dean, Officer Dean, and he says offhandedly to Murphy that, thank you, perfect. Officer Dean, played by
Rich Summer.
Yes, and he mentions to Murphy that he also has a blind daughter.
Yes. which is who we were talking about before, Chloe.
Yes, Chloe.
Played by Callie Walton.
Yes, our actually visually impaired actress.
Yes, who possibly has her own cane. Unclear, but maybe. And she's a teenager, so she is in high school. And is like, and so we kind of are seeing throughout the show, so far, kind of the different ways in which, like, I guess it's kind of like showing two different blind experiences at different times, especially because Murphy's, like, the way that she was treated as a kid and as a teenager really affects, like, what's going on with her now, and that, so you're kind of seeing those simultaneous things.
And it's funny because we learn that Murphy didn't even go to high school. She was homeschooled by her mom.
Yeah.
So she didn't even have those experiences, and I'm not saying that every disabled kid needs to go to high school and get made fun of. You know, I went through it.
Being homeschooled is
also hard too.
Yeah,
because you don't have those social interactions.
Yeah, the moral of this podcast is it sucks to go to just a blind school. It sucks to go to a not blind school, and it also sucks to be homeschooled. I mean, and I guess it probably sucks to be a high school dropout.
Everything sucks.
So yeah, there you go. You have no options.
There you go.
But yeah, so and that kind of leads to Murphy's parents. The one problem with doing 3 episodes is that, like, even though they're only 40 minutes, these are very, like, dense with just, like, plot and character, and there's a lot of characters. Though I bet in the future this will be easier because I think we have to, like, introduce all these characters.
The show, though, I mean, to its benefit, it is so consumable. It is
easy to watch.
It's like I blew through the first 2 episodes and hadn't realized I did it. Yeah, and then I come to the 3rd episode, I'm like, oh. Right. Cool. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It is definitely, like, as opposed to C, where you're like, okay,
oh my God, C is
we got to do this now.
Yeah. I can. Yeah. I'm so glad we only do 2 at a time of those, because I'm just like, I can do 2 and then I'm done. I need to take a break.
C is like 95% dark chocolate, but this is like 80%, like a nicer, like 78, like something very good mix of, like, still delicious, but not so dense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the parents are played by Kathleen York and Hank played by Derek Webster.
Oh, we should also mention Tyson.
And Tyson's played by Thamela Momfluana. And so the parents are definitely, they're interesting. They're adoptive parents.
Yeah, which is really cool. And not only are they adopted parents, they adopted her when she was a teenager after she had lost her sight, is what I'm picking up through context.
Really? I thought they adopted her when she was younger. Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, because she was in foster care.
Mm-hmm. They mentioned how she was in foster care. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
So they are super cool adoptive parents because disabled children are at a lower risk of being adopted, and B, teenagers in general, nobody wants to adopt them.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll find out exact, because they don't say, like, the exact age she was when she was adopted, just that she was in foster care.
Yeah,
so.
We know she lost her sight at 15 though.
Do we?
It's mentioned.
Oh. Mm-hmm. No, but I think that she loses her sight, and then they, like, that's when the mom makes it a project. I'm not sure. This is now I'm like, I really don't remember enough, so I feel like whatever I say is not informed.
I'm just going off of what context.
Yeah. We'll have to look out for that. I'm sure maybe it will be more explicit later on. But yeah, so the parents are, I mean, her dad, Hank, is such a sweetheart and a very, like, understanding and kind person. Her mom sucks.
I don't necessarily think she sucks. I think she's much harder to deal with, and I think at first she comes off as kind of a busybody.
Yeah.
I think what she is doing comes from a place of love.
Technically,
but... I mean, that's a pretty big step to adopt a blind kid and then just turn around and be like, hey, we're gonna devote our lives to a guide dog program.
Yeah, well, she kind of like makes it a project, but then doesn't really seem to have a lot of empathy actually for Murphy.
That is the biggest thing, is she doesn't have a lot of empathy for Murphy. Well, Murphy doesn't have a lot of empathy for her either.
For her mom or for
her
herself?
mom.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah, for herself, but yeah, for her mom too.
Right, but I mean, I feel like that's, you know, when you're the kid, you can get more of a pass if your mom sucks.
yeah, but I don't think Murphy's mom is cruel or a mean person.
She's, yeah, I mean, it's just very controlling and in ways that feel like at one point she's like, you should wear a dress to this function. I'm like, that's fucked up, dude.
Yeah,
you can't do that. Like, there's a judgmentalness about her character that's like always judgmental and feels like you couldn't like, just please her. I mean, I guess it's like sort of an protective thing, but yeah, I did not like her.
However, that is why it's super important when Murphy does come to the barkery, which I don't care if Murphy doesn't like it. I thought that was great. I'm a sucker for puns. She comes to the barkery event at the guide dog school in a dress. It is a hideous dress, but it's Murphy. It's her character. So she did what her mother asked, but she did it in her own weird way.
Right. I mean, she shouldn't have had to do that though. It shouldn't matter. Like, and also if you say wear something nice, it shouldn't be a dress.
Right. No, her mother didn't need to be that specific.
And I mean, I think it's like also, it's just like making her a project and then also like giving her not a lot of room to like be a kid. And like, I definitely disagree with a lot of those parenting decisions you hear from the show.
And her mother went to a not a visually impaired, a support group for disabled parents that she still goes to.
What do you think about that? Because if
you would have asked me that as a younger person, I probably would be much more put out about it and upset that, you have to, oh my gosh, you don't know what to do. You can't handle it. You have to go to a support group to talk to these other people. You can't just talk to your own kid. Yes, I think it's very important that you and your disabled child have a communication network that is open. But you know what? I don't think it's such a horrible thing.
I think for me, my read is that it is that I think it's problematic in this case because of the way that it didn't seem to help Joy be a better mom.
Right. And I mean, and Murphy's dad tells her where her mom is, and then her mom is still going there, and Murphy's not really happy about it.
Right. And I think that like if it was like the dad that was going to those meetings, then I think I would be in support of it because he obviously is learning practical things of like how to deal with a disabled child and like or just and how to be like a responsible and good father. But the fact that he's not the one going but her mom is, and she is like very controlling and doesn't like and kind of expects things from Murphy all the time, but then also doesn't expect her to be capable ever. So it's like a combination of like expecting her to do things that are problematic while still like also expecting like her to not be able to do things that she should be able to do too. Like, I don't know.
Well, it can kind of feel insulting to the disabled kid or to a disabled person. Why not just talk to me?
Right, exactly. And the fact that she has such a bad communication with Murphy makes it feel like, first of all, you wonder what's going on at those meetings and how much that might be contributing to it, because there is like very problematic things that could be taught in that kind of scenario. I think that sometimes like I don't know, sometimes.
But it's also good to hear from other people and other parents and to hear about these experiences. They're probably not going to be the same experiences because every disabled person is different. But it's good to hear and to talk and to get it out there.
But I mean, what if all the other parents have a really problematic the same problematic bullshit that she has? Like, then you have like, it's like incels or something. It's just like, it's just like that, like things getting worse because people are feeding off each other.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I found a book on the counter. I think my mom had left it behind or someone had. And the title of it is How to Kiss a Blind Girl. Some stupid title. What? I didn't read any of it. I just was kind of flabbergasted and a little hurt because I had put together in my head, oh, Mom must have gotten a bunch of books on blindness because she had me and she didn't know how to deal with me. And, you know, I did feel a little hurt for a little while, but, you know, my parents figured it out. And
Right.
I kind of wish that me or them had a little bit of a group like that so that they could talk to people who were going through experiences, and they, you know, and yes, it can turn on its head or be turned on its ear, and it can end up being a pretty bad thing.
Right. And that's why I don't think it's necessarily inherently bad. I think like looking at people who would come from that group and seeing how they're interacting, how that changes their interactions would be 100% would tell if it's good or bad. You know, like it could be as good or as bad depending on how problematic the stuff that is being taught is, but it's not like inherently bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, I'm falling on the side of I don't think support groups are such a bad thing.
Yeah, I think the problem is ableism is so inherent to society that the likelihood of like those things being ableist is still, I mean, it's not like high that it's definitely going to be ableist, but it's not something to completely write off. Like it's definitely possible that ableism could creep into that, and especially when you have a group where there are no disabled people, so it's not people like who could speak up for themselves.
But I'm assuming, I don't know, we don't know anything about this group.
Yeah.
It's literally just one line in the show. But I am assuming, hopefully, that the group, there's a moderator in the group that is a medical professional or a disabled person. And B, they have disabled people who visit the group or who come and speak and can speak on, can be that
experience.
Disabled side. Yeah, and speak on their own experiences. So
it's hard you never know.
I'm hoping they would learn something rather than it's just a space to come and vent about how hard it is raising my kid who has autism, or my kid who's blind, or my kid who has Downs, or, you know.
Right. And like, and the fact that there isn't, like, because I think society doesn't tell people how to raise disabled kids. And like, so people just kind of make up shit, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. And there is that worry that like, if people are making up shit and it's bad, that would spread. But then, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like good things that you could do as a parent to disabled people. But yeah, it just I think the only reason why I assume that it's bad in this show is that Joy just seems so unequipped to deal with the disabled child. So it's like, what were you learning? Like, what was happening in those groups that you didn't learn anything? But yeah, but I mean, it's a complicated issue. I assume that's gonna probably come up more.
Well, yeah,
as the
they're gonna have to talk about it. I mean, I think, you know, it's in the car ride home when Joy drives Murphy home after Murphy's been at her parents' house for a little while, and they have, you know, the spat about the window and the air and everything, and they can barely be in the same space together.
That's the scene, and thank you for reminding me, because I was so mad at the mom. I was like, if you are too hot, you don't have, like, it just makes you sick. Like, it's just like you're getting sick. It's not like being a problem. Like, it's like putting someone in an oven. It's inhumane. I am very, very aggressive about temperature just because I am super, super sensitive to heat. So it like your body starts shutting down. It is extremely painful. So she could have just been able to like open the window. It's a real complaint, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of saw, I did not believe Murphy. You know, Murphy was probably hot and needed, you know, and did need air, but it was also a scene to illustrate how at their throats these two people are. They just cannot agree on anything.
But then I was like, Murphy's just being reasonable. She should be allowed to open the window.
Sure, but also you can look at it from the side of, is she being reasonable, or she knows how to push all of her mother's buttons, and she's just going to push every single one of them. I
mean, he is like, I think sometimes, I mean, this is a super specific thing, but like, real heat sensitivity it's just very real, and it's like you can't avoid it, and it's not And
Sure.
it's not like it is, and I think people take it personally.
Yeah.
And also, he just makes everyone stupid, and so people just like when it's hot, you just fight with everyone, and you should just always try to make things cooler. That's my.
I mean, Murphy doesn't strike me as someone with heat sensitive issues. But she could have been, hot and uncomfortable in the car with her mother.
The one thing I'll give it is she was wearing like a little bit of a jacket, so there is the option to take that off. That's the one thing I'll give you, is that like if you're down to your one layer and you're complaining about the heat, then you're being reasonable. But if you do have one layer on top of the bottom layer, then okay, you can take that jacket off first and then see how you're doing. And if you're still hot, you're being reasonable. But if you're only hot with the sweater on, at least I'm like, okay, you can take the sweater off. Like, that is another thing you could do. So I'll give the mom that. But
I think this is just one that we're going to have to agree to disagree on.
yeah, I mean, well, yeah, no, this is the number one fight I've had with everyone, who has been in my life. I've definitely stopped being friends with people because of heat problems. So it's a very serious thing. But yeah, no, I guess that is part of it, is that was an early on scene. So I was like, I hate this mom. I just hate her. I hate her so much. She's like making her like Murphy suffer. And like, so I think that's maybe my own personal.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think there's a little bit more to her than that.
I'm sure
I would
there
hope.
is.
I think we'll find that
There's
that there
just
is.
not a lot
Yeah.
more than heat sensitivity to me is the problem. That is the main thing about my personality. But yeah, so that's the mom. I'm sure we'll see more of her. But Hank, the dad, is just kind of like very kind guy. I mean, we kind of just see him being like a loving parent. Nothing like super specific, I guess, that I could think of.
He's kind of the foil to Murphy and Joy.
Yeah, especially the foil to Joy, I feel like.
Yeah,
because they kind of like they'll argue about Murphy a lot, and her dad will come on the side like Murphy is the side of Murphy. And yeah, so then gosh, there is so much. It is really, because it's TV. Like, it is so packed with stuff.
We watched 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure if going by plot point is the best way to keep going with this, because there's just so much.
No, and there is
to talk about.
There is episode plot lines that I don't think we necessarily need to like explain all of. But yeah, so that's most of the characters. We still have the romantic interest.
Oh, food truck guy.
Yes. Oh, and Darnell.
Right.
Max and Darnell are the 2 characters that we meet kind of. Well, Max, I think we meet in the 2nd episode, maybe?
Yeah, you're right. Yep. Darnell we meet in the 1st episode.
Because he is the cousin of Tyson.
Yep. And Murphy is convinced that he either knows more than he's letting on, or he had something to do with Tyson's disappearance, because Darnell claims that Tyson is up in Madison seeing a girl.
Right. And that he was getting texts from Tyson when, like, after Murphy had, like, felt his face and as in the dead body. But that is, like, he just said that he got texts from him. And
Right.
Murphy was also able to get texts from him.
Right. But Murphy points out that he would never, Tyson would never text her.
Which
He would
that
always
was
call.
like, yes, this is why we have blind staff writers. Like,
Yep,
that
yep.
is like actually being a blind person and thinking through how this works. Because, yes, you, of course, like, that is a perfect, like, yes, use your blind character. The fact that a blind character, totally reasonable, that, like, they would always have people texting that, or, like, they would always have them calling and not want to be texted. And the fact that he's like, I can't talk to you right now. She's like, I've never texted him. He knows I hate texting, so why would he be annoyed when I called him? So that's the big thing, is obviously texting. You can be more anonymous. Like, you could be someone who's not the person's phone.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So Murphy ends up tracking his phone, which is something that the police won't do. So she ends up tracking his phone, and they find Tyson's phone under an overpass.
In Madison or not?
In Chicago.
No, in Chicago.
In Chicago. Yep. So clearly, Tyson's not in Madison, or at least his phone wasn't. And his phone is also wiped.
And was it wiped? Oh, because did they, was it that she couldn't get into the phone to be, when she found it?
It was, no, it was just completely wiped.
Well, because she finds out it's wiped because they eventually are able to, like, because, you know, in one of the episodes, she's able to get, find Tyson's mom and
Correct,
have
yeah.
her file a missing persons thing
Yep.
for Tyson.
Yep.
And that, I'm pretty sure, is when they're able to do the phone. And that was kind of like, we can't do any forensic on the phone until we have he's officially a missing person. And then I think that might be the order of what happens. But because of that, like, she had the phone and gave it to the police, like, before they do the forensic. And so I assumed that if it was already wiped when she found it, why would she even bother giving it to the police? Like, if it was wiped, she at least
point.
wouldn't have known that.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that this does confirm is that whoever is texting everybody ain't Tyson.
Right. Or, yes. I mean, we could assume so.
Well, yes.
We technically don't know, but
no,
we
don't
could
know.
assume so.
But we find out that the person whoever was texting everybody is not Tyson.
It's probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that, I mean, that's only, like, something we could tell from, like, I guess the fact that I think that, like, the fact that he is only texting Murphy would be the number one indication that it wasn't him, because just the fact that they found the phone wouldn't necessarily, like, I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, it does seem like he's dead. Tyson's dead, so that would be the indication of why he couldn't be texting.
Pretty sure. Yeah, we're pretty sure at this point that he's dead. Yeah. Oof. So I guess let's talk about, or let's kind of go. Let's talk about our blind characters. We have two.
Yes.
Two girls. Two to talk about.
And I really do like that they have. This is, like, something that I've not seen on TV before, and I think a lot about is, like, having kind of, like, being a blind mentor to another blind person. I feel like that kind of relationship, like, it's hard enough to, like, get that kind of relationship in real life, and to see a TV show with that kind of relationship, and, like, to see, because we see that, like, Chloe is constantly asking for Murphy, like,
right.
because they become, and the fact that in the scene that they meet, like, and actually I have it queued up if we want to watch that scene.
No, let's go for it.
It's about Tyson.
No, sorry. I actually am here with my daughter, Chloe. Chloe, this is Murphy.
Hi.
Hi.
We were here to look into possibly getting a guide dog.
That's my parents. Their office is...
Yep, I can show you the way, actually. It's just right over here. Yeah.
Should she come?
No, there's a chair right there. Come on, follow me.
Right here. There you go. I will be right back. You guys can get to know each other. Maybe you have some things in common.
Chloe sits near Murphy.
What could we possibly have in common? My dad is such a dork sometimes. And that guy just said there's a chair right there. As if I have any idea where right there is.
I know. That's Felix. He's such a loser. He always says stuff like that to me. So you gonna get a guide dog?
Yeah, I'm kind of a loner. My dad thinks I need a friend.
I'm kind of a loner, too. Most cool people are.
You think I'm cool?
I know you are.
Chloe smiles. Later, Dean sits with Murphy.
Thanks for talking to her.
She's a really sweet kid.
Hey, wanted to ask, if it's okay, just how you lost your...
Virginity. It was my 17th birthday. I had had a few too many wine
Yeah,
coolers.
that was not what I was asking.
I have retinitis pigmentosa, so I lost my vision completely when I was 14.
Well, I'm so sorry.
Tell me you don't do that to Chloe.
What?
The pitying thing.
I'm not pitying
No,
you.
your voice went down like 3 pitying octaves. I'm so sorry.
Okay, all right, sorry.
Look, treat her like any other kid. Get mad at her and force her to do chores, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's all I would have wanted from my parents when I lost my sight.
That's, maybe the best advice anyone's given me.
Chloe cuddles a puppy.
So have you heard anything about my friend Tyson?
Yeah, so that's
got to be like taken straight up from experiences that they've had.
That is like I think
the writers have had.
Yeah, of most. I think of anything we've watched that is probably like, oh, a blind person wrote that. Like, that is not a sighted person.
1,000%, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both of those scenes, I think, like just, and also like when they meet. When Chloe and Murphy meet for the first time in that scene, there's also like, you think, okay, so sighted people are gonna make it so that they're like, two blind people, you know, like we have to like have some sort of rivalry, or there has to be some sort of like antagonistic thing. And the fact that they're instantly bond over like being blind, but in like a way that is so realistic, and like, yes, that is how blind people are. Like we feel very isolated from each other, and are always find kindred spirits in each other, I think.
And I love and they've made this point several times in the show, how someone will say, oh, I have a chair, it's over here, or I ask, where did I leave my book? Oh, it's over there.
That's my favorite Murphy line too. Is she's like, "That's Felix. He's a loser."
Yes. Oh my God.
And just
Felix is a loser though.
He is. He definitely is. Which we haven't even talked about him yet.
Oh my God, Felix!
So
why? He is so funny, but he's such a jerk.
You have to have that character that's just. But it is like, and just the fact that they're like making fun of like a sighted person doing a stupid thing, that's like, and that you can do that instantly. I feel like that is how I've met a lot of blind people, is who just instantly complain about some dumb thing a sighted person does.
Oh, definitely. Oh yeah. I mean, you get a bunch of blind people in a room and we're gonna make jokes about mostly about sighted people, and the things that
the dumb shit they do.
Yes.
But I just those two scenes I think are probably the best of the what we've seen so far.
When Dean is asking Murphy about her vision, and and he's afraid to just be like, hey, can I ask you, how did you lose your vision? And then she tells him, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so happy that she calls him out on it. They're like, don't tell me. I'm so sorry that you lost your vision. I'm like, you know what? For me personally, I never had normal vision to begin with.
Right,
so
right.
Please don't tell me that you're sorry. Who cares?
Yeah, yeah. And I've what do you say when people do that? Because I'm always like, I'm not.
It's pretty much the same thing. Like, I'm getting much better about telling people that. Just don't. Usually I would just say like, oh, okay, thank you, whatever. But I'm like, no, don't tell me that. Please, please don't say that. Like, I am not sorry.
Right. I'm like, don't be. I'm not sorry.
Right. I'm not broken. My eyes are just the way they are. I am just the way I am. So there it is. And Murphy definitely doesn't act like she's still grieving over the loss of her vision. Thank goodness, because I don't want to deal with that character. This is This is what I wanted. This is something I've always wanted. I wanted a show that featured a female character who just happened to be blind.
Well, yeah, but what I love too, though, is they make it part of the plot. Though I was kind of mad because I have been writing this pilot about a blind character whose name is Molly and her friend is Wes, and I was like, these names are even close to the characters I was writing. It was very annoying to me. But other than that, was I saying before we started recording that I've always wanted a blind Veronica Mars?
Yes, yeah.
So I agree.
Kind of what you got. yeah. But like, her being blind is not a huge part of the story.
But it is. But that's actually what I like about it. It is a big part of the story. Like, I love, like, actually my favorite parts are when her blindness is very relevant. Mm-hmm. Like the thing when this is it.
Daytime. At home, Jess prepares a plate with toast, an electrolytes drink, and ibuprofen. She carries the plate into Murphy's room. Murphy uses her laptop.
Hey, got your stuff. Hey! You're awake? Yeah, I'll be ready for work in a second. I'm trying to figure out how to track a cell phone.
Here are the results for how to sell a home.
That's my favorite.
We've all been there.
That is like my entire life. But I love like a dumb, blind like annoyance jokes of just like, because there's a lot of them, like I mean, also just the fact that we have different plot points, like one of the clues is in a crane that Tyson made.
Oh yeah, a pterodactyl.
Yeah, it is a pterodactyl.
Yeah, he likes to do origami.
And she like and Murphy takes one from his room, and it's just like a souvenir. And I was like, oh, this is there's probably a clue on there.
That's what I thought too. Yeah. I was like, Jess is gonna see it and she's gonna open it up, and which is exactly what happened.
Right, which is what happened. but those things of like her not like using her blindness to create the like dramatic tension of things, and like also to kind of make it so that her blindness is not trivial, basically.
Right. Yeah. I want to walk my statement back.
Okay.
Hard. Pull it back and beat it to death. What I should have said was, I am glad that this show is not about her wallowing in her blindness, and we're not watching a show about a character who has to come to terms with and then find ways to overcome their blindness. Like I'm so happy that she's blind, and that she feels like a lived in person, and that she's screwed up, and that there are these little bits of blind humor and these little idiosyncrasies that I feel like we can absolutely relate to as blind people. Yeah. So I guess her blindness, you're right. Her blindness is a huge and integral part of the story.
Right.
But it's not about a woman who is upset and sad and angry about being blind. I don't want to watch that story.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that she is not she does have a lot of self-hatred.
Yeah, but that's one of the few things that she doesn't hate herself for.
Yeah.
She's
like an actual person that's actually blind, basically.
Right. I mean,
that's what we're saying.
Yeah. I mean, she accepts the fact that she's blind, and she's moving on. She's just gonna live life. Her choices aren't always the greatest.
Yeah, and I think, and I'd like to talk about that too, because it comes up a lot since she's the main character. But like the fact that she is such a like self-destructive person. I mean, I don't know. What do you have, like, because I don't have a very succinct thoughts. I'm kind of conflicted about it.
I think she uses sex to connect and disconnect with people.
Disconnect, though, really.
Yeah.
Which I always don't buy. That, like, that's more. I don't know, the whole like relationship sex as if that's like some sort of binary dichotomy of some kind like that. I'm like, that's dumb. Like those are kind of like mixed in together and in different ways for different people, but it's not like it's one or the other, because there's like, oh, I don't want to have sex with you because I like you. It's like, that's not a thing.
Maybe, who knows? I mean, right, everything on TV is written and heightened, and yeah.
Well, it's like a trope that I feel like doesn't really is not super true to life. I don't know.
I mean, I cannot say I go home and have, drunken sex with as much people as Murphy clearly does. But I don't hate the character for that. She's never slut shamed, which is really nice to see. For the most part. Yeah, sort of. Yeah. I mean, she gets a major UTI in the second episode.
Yeah, I think the way the show deals with her being promiscuous, I'm a little dubious of. Just because I think that, like, first of all, I don't know. I think blind people tend to, like, casual sex is in that way. Like, she gets sighted people to tell her who's attractive, which that's cute. But, like, but it is also just... I don't know.
Maybe I can help. I don't know. Let's try.
Yeah.
Let's try this. It seems like something that is very easy for able people to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because almost everything is based on looks.
Exactly.
And sometimes a woman or a man or whatever gender you identify as, they're not looking for lovey-dovey feelings. Let's have a connection. I just want to bang you and get it over with, and I never want to call you again.
Right.
That is something that some disabled people feel like they're completely locked out of.
Right. And I think also and
some people who might think that their body doesn't conform to the standard of beauty.
Yeah. Well, and also like I think that I'm like, I don't want to generalize all blind people, because obviously I can't do that. But I do think that I have found a lot less frequently blind people who feel like they don't want connections to other people. I think it's a lot more common to find blind people that feel isolated by the world and are looking to have connections with other people. And I think that that was the main, and like, granted, I don't know every blind person, like, but I just have not met really, I mean, unless you are the one person, I just don't know, so I will let you speak if that's true, but I don't know a lot of blind people who are very like standoffish in a way that they are very unwilling to let people in, to the point that they're like actively pushing away people, kind of like, it's just a kind of personality trait that I've just not seen on blind people before. But I don't like, but then again, it's like I have to generalize all blind people to make that point, so that's why I'm like struggle with it.
You haven't seen all blind people, so
I haven't seen any.
Yeah, you've seen but yeah, yeah, it's.
Am I imagining this though?
No, I mean, I think what we are struggling with as disabled people who are watching this show is we've never seen a sexually promiscuous disabled person before.
Well, no, that's not my problem with it. It's at all. Like, that is absolutely blind people.
Okay.
I know many of those.
Take it back. Okay. Yeah.
Including myself. But that's not what I have a problem with. It's the pushing people away thing. Like the idea that you would be, because it's not that she's having casual sex just on its own. She's also like actively pushing everyone away and trying very hard to like show that she is like doesn't want any emotional attachment, which I feel like it happens more in Hollywood than in real life.
Yeah, it's a trope, most definitely, because now we have two people who are kind of going to be set up to be competing for her heart. We have Food Truck Guy and Officer Dean.
Right.
Max is his name. Food Truck Guy's name.
Right, Max. Yeah,
Max. So we have Max and Officer Dean. So I think it's kind of a setup.
It's kind of like a Logan Duncan kind of set. I'm just bring all the Veronica Mars.
Yeah. I think for me it was interesting to it's interesting to see a sexually active and very sexually confident disabled person, because that's just not me. So for me that was really interesting. I
mean, I definitely like that. I wish. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like there's some argument to be made that like that if you are blind, you don't trust people. That's a fair, that is a reasonable leap to make. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. I mean, it is one of those things where it's hard to say exactly, and this is something where, you know, given the fact that, you can't possibly make any sort of generalization that big, but which is why I'm trying to figure out if there's like a specific trait why that stood out to me as being less believable.
Maybe we'll find out that Murphy had her heart broken badly by somebody, and so she just fills that void with people, but she just never wants to connect to anyone because she either has been burned terribly by somebody.
That would be a Duncan situation, but yes, go on.
Very good. She has been burned terribly by somebody, or she just has never had that opportunity, and she has just put on so much emotional armor that she doesn't know and doesn't want to take it off anymore, and that's just her personality.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that definitely is part of the character. I mean, I don't know why. It is weird because I feel like a lot of the things about her feel very believable to me. And I think maybe as we watch the show, I'll be able to pinpoint a little bit more because it's like a weirdly specific thing that is not like, that's not specific to like any one behavior. There's just like a certain sort of character trait that doesn't fully ring true, but I just don't have like a very cohesive or like succinct way of talking about it yet.
Yeah, and Murphy is surrounded by relationships that are very well balanced and well meaning, you know, she's her parents, and Jess and her girlfriend. Yeah. So
said that in unison.
Nice. So she's surrounded by all of these relationships that work, and she feels like she's healthy. The broken one. Yeah, thank you, that are healthy. That's the better way to put it. Yeah, I mean, even and she's, you know, and the people that are kind of being set up to be the love triangle, which I think is going to be her and Officer Dean and Max. Officer Dean is either divorced or his wife died. I'm not exactly sure which.
Oh yeah,
but Chloe's mom is not in the picture anymore.
Maybe did she die in the car accident? Because that's how Chloe became blind.
Oh right, okay, maybe I completely missed that. About their mother, at least.
No. I'm asking. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know. I can't. I cannot confirm that.
I don't. It might not be because maybe I don't know. If it was, maybe he said it and we forgot. But I don't know if it is true.
Yeah, but we find out through Chloe that Officer Dean has not been in a relationship since their mother.
Going on.
Yeah, since what happened to their mother, and Max, food truck guy.
Okay, we should talk about Max because the way that's written, that is a trope that bothers me.
Okay.
Because we do have the kind of like Love Actually, I mean, like every single movie from like, you know, a good 30-year span of just like stalking people is sexy. It's like, no, stalking someone's not sexy.
Oh, yeah, no, I had the hairs on the back of my neck stood up a little bit during all of that. And I think even Murphy or Jess, somebody makes a stalking joke.
Right, but then it's a joke and it's like, you're correct. This is stalking.
Yeah, I know. I wish we could kind of abandon this trope because it's also just really like not
so
funny.
Cliche,
it's not
too.
Cute.
It's like it's problematic, but also like so overdone. So it's not even like you don't even get points for like doing something that people don't usually do.
Well, you know, he kind of sort of gets his comeuppance because he makes the mistake of telling Murphy that he likes and or loves her.
Right,
and
but she should have been mad about the like stalking her.
Yes.
And then less mad about that.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. But I mean, dude breaks his penis.
Well, also if she's gonna think it's cute that he's stalking her, then why does it bother her that he likes her?
I think for her,
obviously stalking someone in this world means that he's interested in her.
Yeah, I think for her, being liked and or loved, truly loved by someone is just an idea and a concept that is so foreign to her.
Yeah.
That anyone could ever, you know, stoop so low as to like her or want to be around her. That just freaks her out.
It is like an internalized ableism thing, I think. But I don't know. Do you think it's going to be something other than internalized ableism?
I don't think disabled people are immune to Murphy's personality, to the feelings that Murphy is going through. So,
like, or do you think that? But internalized ableism is definitely only disabled people have that.
Right? Yeah. No, yeah. So no, I don't. Sorry. So no, I don't think it's internalized ableism because I think if you're disabled or not, you can have those feelings of no one will ever love me.
But that's internalized ableism, though. That doesn't matter if it's like.
Well, yeah, disabled people might be more prone to having those feelings because society has, you know, told us we're nothing or told us we can't or told us we're not sexually viable or that we're not beautiful. So yeah, there is some internalized ableism there. Absolutely.
And I wonder, because I'm just thinking like, I wonder if that's like the main idea behind it or if they're going to like add more details on why she feels that way. I kind of want it to be internalized ableism, but I don't know. What do you think?
I'm hoping they add more details. I'm sure they will as we watch more of these. But it would be nice if it was internalized ableism because then all of the disabled people who are watching this show, all the people who should be watching this show can really get a look inside of the mind of a disabled person and really feel and understand the struggles that we go through,
Right.
especially with dating, especially with finding relationships, because it can be a lot harder for a disabled person to enter that world, because that world is so visual and it's so based on body language. Just all of these doors that are
Right.
slammed in your face time and time again.
Which is why it's weird that she doesn't want any relationships at all. And that, like, also, why do so many, like, women and things that we watch are just, like, once they decide they like someone, it's like, well, this is a relationship now. It's like, that's not how this works. It's not like women are fickle and guys just decide who they like and then it's like they have to, like, that's not real life. Like, both, like, people of all genders, like some people don't like other people, have certain weird quirks, like, have different abilities to commit to relationships. I mean, it's just not, like, it's not that binary really bothers me.
Well,
Anyway.
and then he ends up, after the breaking of the penis, he can't leave their apartment because he can't get down the stairs.
Did we say he breaks his penis?
Yes, because Jess looks at him and she's like, "Oh yeah, you broke your penis." So that they're having sex. He says that he loves her or he likes her, and she freaks out and pushes him off of her, and he falls over and just because if you land on like an erection, this can happen. It's a thing,
I do love that Jess is always like because she looks at Murphy's what are words UTI. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And then also the penis, and she's a vet, which is I think a funny bit. She's not a real doctor.
Damn it, Murphy! I'm a vet, not a doctor.
But they still use her. I love it's good.
Yeah.
This is good commentary on American healthcare. I love
Well,
a good American
I've
healthcare
taken-
commentary.
I mean, that's a real doctor's. I've taken dog medicine before because I couldn't afford my actual medicine. So
Right? Yeah. No. I mean, it's real.
It happens. And she ends up taking what did they say? Two somethings in two Chihuahuas and a
there's,
something
like, Great
of,
Danes or something.
Yeah, a Great Dane of like UTI pills or something meant for
Right.
So yeah, that happens. That's I've done that. Yeah. So he's injured and he can't leave their apartment, and he ends up still sleeping in Murphy's bed, which she
like the couch
doesn't like it. Yeah. She's not a fan of that. And even after they have kind of a fight and then a reconciliation about whatever this is that they're doing, she's still having trouble being close to him.
Yeah.
So this is just it's her personality. Murphy is an incredibly prickly person, and I'm not sure yet if this has to do with her being blind.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That I think that is something that maybe probably will reveal itself throughout the show. I would imagine.
I'm guessing.
Maybe not,
We'll
but I would imagine probably does. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find out more about Murphy.
Yeah. And I think each episode we do learn a decent amount more. So it is, I think, probably going to but yeah, I mean, I think there is, you do have a really big cast of characters, and there is, I think, as we're talking about them, I think a lot of them, I'm like, yeah, I'm interested to see, like, kind of how we build out more of these characters, because I feel like it did a good job of kind of giving us enough information to, like, want to know about these characters, but not so much that we're like, yeah, I get it, I get the whole thing. Like, and I do really like that they are. And I feel like it's also like, it's not like you meet all these characters and you're like, why are they behaving this way? And then it's like never explained, and you're like, okay, so you're just never going to tell me why you're behaving this way. Whereas I feel like this show, it's like every episode you're getting more and more window into like the psyche of each character, like, and so it's building, and it's consistently building, which is really nice, because that's like, I think that is for me what makes shows I don't like different from the shows I do like, is like that consistently building up characters and consistently understanding them better as the show goes on.
And this show has a really lovely balance. This show has a really lovely balance of drama and comedy as well. I mean, the mystery they're trying to solve is the drama, is dramatic and incredibly important, but there's also really wonderful moments of levity in the show. And that usually comes from a situation that Murphy is in.
Right. And the fact, yeah, and I do, again, just love all the blind jokes stuff that, like, just all the dumb stuff that we have to deal with. I mean, just watching Veronica Mars being like, I wonder how difficult this would be if she was blind. It's very exciting. It is very exciting. I keep thinking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I did always want this.
Mm-hmm. Well, the scene where Chloe has her period, and that was a really interesting scene because that is a really great scene. This is basically the last bit of the third episode. Her poor father is trying to walk her through everything. Yeah. Here's how do you put a tampon in and finally Chloe is just like, just call Murphy, please so just cute. Call Murphy. And it's so wonderful that he has someone that she has someone that she can call and be like, and hey, like, please talk to me, please.
And the whole time you're just like, yes, this would literally be me at that age. Mm-hmm. If this was the situation I was in, it would just be like, and the fact that Murphy is so, I do love that she's like very standoffish to everyone and kind of a bitch, but like to Chloe, she's kind of a different person, and like that feels so real to me.
Yeah, and then the scene is like Murphy and Chloe are sitting in the bathroom, and they've made like crowns out of the tampons, which I was
just like, wow, that must have taken a lot of work, because that feels like a silly thing sighted people do, but it's very cute.
I love it. It's super cute, but the conversation was super interesting because Murphy is like, well, okay, how are you? How did they make fun of you? You know, what are you going through? And Chloe's like, I wish they would have made fun of me. Why didn't they make fun of me? And oh my God, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, wow. I'm not saying that that we should go back to the way everything was and like make fun of disabled people. Absolutely not. I had endured my fair share of that. But it's like this weird inverse of the whole situation. People care so much, and people want to be so nice, and they are trying to be so empathetic and so woke, dare I say, that it can feel, a disabled person can feel pitied and infantilized, and that's not at all what I'm sure that's not at all what Chloe wants to feel like.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's also like, because I think like if I was, being like a teacher or a student or something, like what I would want to do for someone else is be very understanding and accepting of them, just no matter what.
Right, which is what people should be. I mean, I was really glad that the people at Chloe's school didn't make fun of her. She had an accident. It happens. It is what it is. I had my fair share.
It's interesting. I think for me, I would have been more bothered if people had said nothing at all. Like, I think that's the scary one. Like, if people are actively like, oh, yeah, no, it's okay, that happens, like, that wouldn't bother me. But it's, like, the silence that's the most stressful, because you're like, oh, no, you're definitely talking about me behind my back. That's, like, the kind of situations I found myself in when I was younger. But that's Southern California. That is a very cultural thing.
Yeah. And I think Chloe is, I think Chloe feels upset about the whole thing because she wanted so badly to feel normal. If she were a normal girl and was not who she was and wasn't disabled, would her classmates have, ratted her out and made fun of her for period stains?
Right.
We don't know that because she isn't, and that's it's not really what the show is about. But
well, it is kind of like the show does touch on this because like the B's plot of that. Well, I don't know actually if Chloe was the B plot, but like, she's the C plot.
It was. She wasn't really. It wasn't really a huge plot point.
She was the C plot in the episode. I guess I don't remember what the other plots were, but like, the one of the things going on in that episode is that like to get to talk to Tyson's like ex-girlfriend, Murphy. I always want to call her like Maury. I don't know what is happening with me. Murphy like is basically talks them into like doing a presentation about the guide dogs at the school, because she like tried to go with Jess to the school and was turned away because she's not a student. So she's like, okay, this is my ticket in to go to the school and find the ex-girlfriend of Tyson. And so Felix winds up going with her, even though she was originally wanted for Jess to go. But apparently, I don't remember why, but for some reason Jess couldn't go, so Felix is going.
Yeah, well, it would have been easier for her to sneak off with Jess, because Jess knows what the plan was.
Right. I don't remember why Jess couldn't go.
She had a thing or something. Yeah.
So then that plot, the main thing about that plot is that Felix was made fun of in high school, and that he is like reliving and he basically relives the trauma of like being made fun of. In high school. Murphy
basically dumps him and was like, hey, I've got a makes up excuse. And Felix is like, I can't go on, my eyes are watering because I'm nervous. So he puts on a big pair of black sunglasses.
It's like, why did he not consider the like wearing sunglasses?
It's humor. That like it's humor. It's the joke.
That was a stretch, though.
I know. But as soon as he put the sunglasses on, I was like, oh, right. I know exactly where this is going.
Well, because when he's like, my eyes, I'm like, so now people are gonna think you're blind even though you can see. Like that's, come on, guys. Let's be a little more subtle here.
Right, but I think that Felix kind of sort of got what he wanted, which was being liked in high school.
Right, because he was blind. Because people are like, well, that scene is really great because the questions they ask him are like the worst questions that all blind people hate. And he's like, oh my God, they like me.
Right. And he's never had that before. Like, he had a room full of kids eating out of the palm of his hand.
Right, the kid, one of the questions is like, do you dream?
Right.
Which one is like that was one of the worst ones. Like, oh, good God. Every time I'm like, the amount of explanation that like this I need to now give to you. I'm just part of it's always in a Lyft ride, because normally I would just be like, okay, nice talking to you, bye.
Yeah, because then you have to get into like visual memory and sense memory, and I mean the short answer is yes, which is the answer that Felix gives. Yes, I dream. Yes.
But he's like so excited to hear that. He's like, they like me, and it is very funny as like a foil for the two things of like, which that is kind of good storytelling, and to have those two like the actual disabled experience, and I mean, it is kind of cool because we talk all about like how you have, and I wonder, and I bet like for the blind writers this was part of it, but we talk about how you can so tell a sighted person writing a blind character, and like it is really cool that in the show they had blind people actually writing a sighted character doing that, which is like very cool because it's like meta commentary, which that I did love that scene because of the meta commentary. It's like, oh my God, we could have like written this like from the actual perspective of a blind TV writer. But yeah, sorry, were you gonna
no. Well, yeah, and the long story short, Murphy gets the information that she needs by ditching Felix, and then decides to have sex with the principal.
Oh my God, was it the principal?
I don't know. He was principal, vice principal. I don't know. He's some authority figure at the school. Yeah. And to get out of getting in trouble, they have sex.
Right. And that was terrible because like there's a window opens and all the kids can see, but then it's like she doesn't know what's happening.
No, but what happens, I don't know if you noticed, but in the throng of their passion, she hits the soundboards.
Well, I didn't notice. I heard.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
But yeah, so that opens at one point. It opens the window, so that people can see it. But that I felt so bad for her because that's like a thing that she can't see what's going on. Though it is kind of funny because her back was turned to it, so a sighted person wouldn't be able to see right away, but then it's just like it takes a while where she's just sitting there and she's like, what's going on? And I kind of like that, like, unlike like I don't, it just like kind of thinking about when you're in a situation where you're not going to have enough information, and kind of creating those situations. I feel like a lot of times people don't bother to like really think out the subtlety of like how, like, because it's just like she still gets told what's going on, but it's just like that in between time of her not knowing what's happening and like not being able to react, and how there's like that lag time, and you don't like. That's not like the same as like a blind person doesn't have their cane and they're like, you know, trying to navigate, which I mean does happen in this show because you have to do that. But
I mean, of all the places in the school they could have gone to do this, they went to the friggin' tech booth.
That is true. Why
above,
did they do that?
Above the auditorium. I mean, it's the writing. Like, of course they were gonna do that because she has to get caught. Murphy has to get caught because now Murphy has to deal with the fact that she had random casual sex with another guy and it didn't feel great. She didn't really enjoy it because she misses, food truck guy.
Yeah, right. Why does she like him? I mean, I don't know. Maybe now this is a problem with the way he looks. Is now I'm just like, you could write a good like blind love interest that's maybe still starts outside-ed, but like you really like.
Yeah, personally, I want to see her get together with Officer Dean. Like if she has to get together with somebody, I want her to get together with him.
He's the best of our options so far. I'm really hoping we get a third option at some point, because. They're both like, I mean, Dean is definitely better, but he's a cop, and so I'm just already, I don't trust cops, so yeah, this show does fall into the trap of like being like Darnell, who we don't really know what his motives are. He's like, don't let the cops come and see, like gets really mad at her for calling the cops when she finds a body,
right,
and for me, I was just like, yeah, well, like. That doesn't necessarily mean he's suspicious. He's like a black person and afraid that the cops are going to be coming to his spot he's in. Like, that's totally understandable. Yeah. Like, that's not suspicious.
And Darnell is also trying to pay off Tyson's mom with dirty money.
Yeah, well, that comes later, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do we even, I guess it's just that, that just implies he knows more.
Oh,
he's letting on.
He absolutely knows more.
Well, he definitely does, yeah. But like that he has somewhat more of a direct, like, I don't know if it's a role. I mean, he could just know about it. But it is his family too, right. So there is like a sense that it could be that he, it could be that maybe it's his fault. That Tyson died, but that it's not something that he wanted to happen, but like he put Tyson in a situation that made him die. Like that could be what happened, because that would make sense,
right? And we already know that Darnell has asked Tyson to do some shady shit for him because Darnell sells drugs,
right?
Which is what Tyson started doing. Even though his mom caught him, he still that was his side hustle.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he's 17. I think it was just his hustle, technically.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be a side
the
hustle.
Main hustle.
Yeah. So yes, that was his hustle.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, I think TV is pretty far behind on the kinds of like comps and race politics stuff, but we'll get there eventually. I think. Yeah.
Oh, there's no eventually. We're gonna get there.
No, we'll get there.
If this year has proven anything, we're gonna get there.
I hope so. You never
soon, hopefully. Yeah.
You never know. These old habits die hard. It takes, and not Die Hard, because that's also, I think, a movie about cops.
yes, it is. But you notice that it had the topic of Tyson being black hasn't really come up at all. As even though the police are, we're very wary about just immediately opening a murder investigation, no one has said like, oh, you don't want to do that because he's black.
Yeah, they don't really talk about it a lot or at all.
No, not at all. It's just doesn't exist.
Yeah,
you can only tell so many stories.
Yeah, I do think sometimes I'm like, well, but when you create a narrative of like, black people, these are the drug dealers that the cops should be finding and are obviously doing crime. I mean, like, that's a whole narrative that you're needing to incorporate in. Why don't you incorporate the narrative of, like, cops don't like black people? Like, that's a different narrative that you could also just that's just as much work to incorporate that narrative in. But Hollywood tends to pick the first one.
It is kind of nice to see a show with cops that are actually nice and are actually trying to do their jobs.
Well, I don't know though. I don't like that. I have a problem. I mean, I finally was like, okay, I can handle Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I did definitely struggle with it for a very long time because I was like, I don't like cops. They're cops. I can't
Yeah.
empathize with cops. Like,
Yeah.
why would you? That's not reality. This is fake, and it's just too unreal for me.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily grow up steeped in police culture. I mean, one of my uncles, though, was a cop. And so, you know, when I would hang out at their house, I mean,
Yeah.
stuff like that comes up. You know, his nickname in the family, at least, I'm not so sure if it was on his beat, but his nickname in the family was Officer Friendly.
Oh, like that he was like good cop.
He was a good cop, yeah.
Good cop, bad cop.
Good cop, bad cop. Yeah, no, he was a good cop. So, but then again, I'm also a white person, so
Yeah.
I have never had to feel fear necessarily from the police, even being a disabled person. I just
Are you not afraid of the police?
I am now.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
I've always been afraid of the police. I've also always hated them.
I think it's, again, I'm a white, I'm a white person. I stayed on the good side of the law, I guess. So I never had to be involved with police officers. My uncle was a police officer he was a good police officer. So
I mean,
that just wasn't
a good police officer.
I don't know.
I'm very militant, I guess, and I
that's a fair question. That's absolutely a fair question. My answer right now, I don't know.
I mean,
yeah.
I think these are not new problems. These problems were true at the beginning of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's why it took me until very recently to even be able to really get into it, because it was a very long time that I was like, I don't like watching cops that are relatable because it's so untrue. This is not real. But it is kind of funny. I feel like I'm very out of step with everyone. I'm like, my entire life I've just been like, fuck the police, racist, they shoot black people for no fucking reason. And then just recently I was able to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and that was the biggest step I've ever had in like empathizing with cops. Probably ever will. But
yeah, I mean, well, and according,
that's not a big thing.
No, I mean, I was a little reluctant of Brooklyn Nine-Nine myself for the same reason. I'm like, how do you do a workplace comedy about cops?
Yeah.
These people who
kill
people for no reason.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Well, you make them relatable, and you make them relatable human beings, and you kind of sort of show that, hey, a police precinct can be just as weird and zany and odd as any other workplace. I'm not saying that's because that's what they're like. I don't know what they're like.
Right. I mean, the one thing that I can frame it, and maybe this is kind of how I framed it to make it like me able to enjoy it, because I love Andy Samberg a lot.
Yes.
So it is, this has been such an internal struggle for me. But I think that like the one thing you can kind of think about is that the system is the thing that is broken, and police officers are not doing the job that theoretically they should be doing. I mean, first of all, there's just too much like money into, militarizing the police, and that's a big problem. But like, but it's also just like that's part of it, but there's also a big cultural problem. Like that is another big part of the problem. And
I mean, the police, the quote unquote institution of the police was invented mostly to catch slaves. Like so you're right. It comes from a broken system, and a system that needs to be torn down.
Right. But it also is like, but I think there is even more recently been a more like, part of it is in past, and I mean, and it could be that there's been more money, but there's also like the cultural ways that police officers are like now more, I mean, this kind of, it's not like it's really any different now than it has ever been. Like there's always some sort of narrative, but I feel like now this kind of oppression is more in the hands of cops, whereas in the past it's been in different kinds of hands, and it's always like in everyone's hands. It's always partly the criminal justice system outside of the cops. Sometimes it's the cops, sometimes it's just like, politicians, and there's all these different power structures that will kind of it's kind of just what's the right word, well, not hot potato, but it's just like a game, you're just throwing the ball of racism past all these different powerful entities, but I think now the fact that we see so much of it in the kinds of ones we see in the hands of the police are partly a cultural problem, as just one factor of many, but I think that the one thing that I've kind of been able to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine is see it as okay, so this is kind of a way of us to do kind of a thought experiment of how could you make a more humane, culturally humane police off, and I think how I frame it as this is magical realism, and but it also helps us to think through what maybe we could want in the future. It's kind of and it's I don't want to say utopian because that has a lot of other kind of weird connotations, but it is magical realism. I think is probably closer. Yeah. So that's my read on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. This is so off topic.
Well, you are really making me want to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, though. Not gonna lie.
I'm sorry.
No.
Defund the police.
Yes, please. No justice, no peace. Defund the police. Yes, absolutely. Wholeheartedly, yes.
But also Brooklyn Nine. This is just a gift of people like Andy Samberg and
oh my
are in
God,
the same position
I've
been in for so long.
Well, okay, and actually I heard in an interview Terry Crews was talking about how they are going to try next season and confront what is going on.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing too, is also as I was finding ways to get to kind of deal with the show being about police. I think the show also was doing that too, so I think that helped, because at first I started watching it when it was close to the beginning, and there was just people, they were getting excited about putting away drug dealers and stuff, and I was like, this is not good, guys. This is it shouldn't be exciting that you're just getting people who are dealing drugs. People should not be in jail because they're dealing drugs. Shouldn't be a crime. We shouldn't be, this is not a fun thing.
That's a whole the war on drugs is a whole nother topic,
right? But I mean, it's not really, it's kind of a piece of the racism stuff, but I think that was something that was not really looked at objectively in the first seasons at all, the first couple seasons maybe. And I think that as the show went on, and I mean, I don't know, did it start before maybe Mike Brown?
I think so.
I think BLM was probably because I think 2013 Trayvon Martin maybe was about when people started using the hashtag. I think, but so it was kind of, I think it's probably started near the beginning of the movement, if not a little before. Probably near the beginning.
I mean, because Brooklyn has been on for at least 9 seasons now. I think they're either going into their 10th or they're starting their 9th.
I'm 8 for some reason, but I can look.
I am not sure.
But yeah. So anyway, I feel like this is so off topic.
We've officially gone on a tangent. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we've been getting good about not tangenting, but I mean, what's more topical than how to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Hearing you say that does give me a whole new perspective on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, because I honestly had been avoiding the show for the longest time, because I'm just and I started watching. I started watching. I was an avid watcher through at least seasons 1 through 5, or 1 through 3. I've seen them all. I was an avid watcher, and then I just kind of fell off, and it started feeling really weird, and I was
so
kind
you're
of
the opposite of me.
and I'm just I don't know. Yeah, and I'm I don't know if I can come back to this, knowing what I know now and feeling how I feel now.
Oh yeah. See, this is a problem with always living in the Matrix or whatever, when it's when everyone's I don't know. I've just been in such a weird headspace where I'm I thought we all knew, but I don't know. it's weird. But I'm also like been very in myself recently with all this stuff going on, so it's been just very bizarre to see the whole world start to care about something that I really cared about for so long, and I feel very cut off from all of it. So it's been bizarre. Anyway, sorry. I feel like we're so off topic.
That's okay. You wanna should we rate the show?
Yeah, let's do that. The nice thing is there's still a lot that we probably could talk about, but it is TV packed 3 episodes, and we're gonna watch some more episodes,
yes,
and so I'm sure things will come up that maybe that we didn't talk about this time that if they come up later we can just cover them then. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. So I'll go first. My rating, I think I'm gonna give this one 2,300 because I think that it's like you can go higher than that. It's still above Legal Blindness. I think that the fact that it has blind writers is just very exciting, and sadly that is the most exciting thing because we've never had that before in this podcast. It might be the only time. So that's really awesome, and the fact that they use her blindness as an integral part of the plot. But you also do not fall into any, other than the brief face touching thing that you have to do, there's not a lot of falling into very problematic tropes or even just the tropes of just being her struggling to adapt or something like that. It's we don't have to do any of that. It feels more like it is just written by blind people, obviously. Makes sense. But you have a character who is both comfortable in who she is, but also is constantly dealing with the ableism of the world, but in the ableism of the world, that's also a lot of it is, though it is the way she's treated, it's also just the way the world is, and I think that that's something that people forget to do is when they do stories about blind characters sometimes is you forget that really the most of our annoyance, it's yes, people are annoying, but also a lot of it is just shit is not built for us, and we get frustrated. And before this podcast I couldn't get the display for my iPad to work, and it was very distracting, and then I felt like I did a bad job introducing this episode because I was just in that headspace of feeling like I couldn't actually look at my iPad on the display, and that's just not a problem a sighted person could have. And so I think that is the kind of stuff that is really what we deal with all the time. And the fact that you have kind of I don't know, I do love a good Veronica Mars, obviously Bored to Death, those kinds of amateur sleuthing stuff is I just really enjoy that generally as a kind of I guess it's technically a category of show, basically. But to see a blind character at the heart of that, and a blind female character at the heart of that, and also not a very girly one too, someone that feels just really relatable in so many ways. I think that is that's a very exciting thing. I think the one reason why I wouldn't give it even higher than that is because I think that she is very much a her self-destructiveness is very intense. I think part of it, and I really do think part of it is for TV. I think that there is a sense that you can't make a character that's a little more subtle in the issues that they deal with. They have to be super extreme, over the top, something where even a blind person could see. To be very dumb way of putting it, but and that I think in some ways is frustrating, especially because you do have some characters like Jess is just a very put together person, and there are blind people like Jess. It's not that doesn't exist. There are blind people that are just very confident and have a lot of wherewithal and have and do have flaws, but they're not just so big that you notice the flaw in them all the time, and having a blind character that was a little bit more put together, I think would have given it a higher rating, because I think that that's still something that we miss from a lot of blind representation, and in a show like this, I don't think she needs to be as self-destructive as she is. I think you can still create drama without like making it to the extremes that it is. So that's the only thing. I think that though is something you can watch or grow, and so it is. I think it does still leave room for it to give it a higher rating as we go on.
Yeah,
but that's where I'm at now.
If Murphy's character arc is to grow up emotionally, which I think is probably what it is, she's got to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
So she can't just start. At the end of an arc, she has
but is kind of a problem with TV structurally. So that's a whole other.
But
topic.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
yeah, what's your rating?
I'm actually gonna go 2400, and because 2300 I think is the perfect place for this show. I'm bumping it up to 400 because of Chloe.
Oh yeah.
She's amazing. She's an excellent actress. She's hilarious. She's visually impaired. She's a plus-sized character. She's a character and an actress that I wish I could have seen when I was her age. I think that would have made a huge impact in my life, basically, because she's me. She's basically me in high school, essentially. And I mean, we do in our research for this episode, the writers talked about talking to, or not the writers, but the producers talked about researching visually impaired actors and visually impaired acting associations, and they auditioned tons and tons and tons of people, and yet they settled on an actress that is sighted to play Murphy. Yeah, and I'm not saying Perry's a bad actress. I think she's great. She's doing a fantastic
job. And we should have talked about this in the meat of the episode.
It's okay.
No, but I'm realizing we didn't do like maybe we'll have a segment or something of just like doing an eyeline. Oh, yeah. That could be part of our blindness acuity. Finish your rating good. And we'll throw that in then.
Yeah. So, I think that the fact that they we auditioned just all these disabled people and we just couldn't find a disabled actor that was good enough, I think is bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
It is total bullshit. I'm, again, I'm not trying to say that the actor who is Murphy is a bad actor. She's not. She's awesome. She's very watchable. I'm enjoying myself. But I would really like to see an actual disabled actor playing the role.
Well, you know how we get better blind actors? We get blind actors who've gotten to be in a lot of stuff. That's how you get better actors.
Yeah, exactly. The problem is you need an actor who people know, who is experienced, who can anchor the show and will bring people in. The actor that plays Murphy is also in Shameless.
Yeah,
which is another really good show. So yeah, people know her. She's gonna bring people in. So it sucks that that's the standard. I mean, it works the same way in theater as well.
It's so frustrating. Yeah,
it's stupid. It's stupid, and it needs to stop. But there you have it. So I am giving it a 2400 because they cast an actual visually impaired actress to play a really awesome role, and I hope that we see more of Chloe, and I hope she becomes a bigger part of the story. But yeah, I'm really pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Let's also debut a new segment that I just thought of right now, where because we could we have our blindness acuity test. We could do like a few different. We could do a whole eye exam here. What we should do, just a little thing about where we look at eye lines. Like the eyeline report. I don't know if I can't think of an analogous thing. I mean, I guess it's really just when they're like, follow my finger. My finger.
That's your field of vision test, I think.
Well, yeah, I guess when you look at it, that's kind of like eye lines, but
gotcha.
I don't know. That's not. But if we do an eyeline report, we have Perry Metfield's not great on the eye lines.
It's hit and miss. Sometimes
she remembers.
She does remember, yeah, and she is, yeah. And other times she's looking someone full in the face.
Yeah, there is definitely a handful of times. Like one time she, like, I think like Max comes in the door at some point and she's not expecting him, and then she like just like looks back basically with her eyes, and I'm like, a blind person would not do that. Like she like full on uses her eyes to look at someone. I'm like, if someone comes in a door and says something, I'm not gonna like look at them. I know who they are. Like,
Well,
I
you
heard
might,
them.
yeah, you might look towards the sound of their
guess.
voice. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't do that.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe. But she doesn't have it. Does she not have any vision? Because it's kind of implied. But I don't know if like, would that be true though?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that she is totally blind because, yeah, it's like you said, it's not implied that she sees shapes and colors. It's not implied that she has any light sensitivity. Yeah, it's not, or light perception. Sorry, that was the word I was looking for. So I'm guessing she's totally blind.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, maybe, and you know what? Maybe it's a habit from her being sighted. I mean, she lost her vision at 15. So she lived, or 14. So she lived 14 years with vision.
Maybe.
It's a lot of time to make habits.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, sometimes she does seem like she's focusing in on someone, and there are times where it seems like she like remembered more that she's blind in one cut than another. So like even the continuity of her remembering that she's a blind character is like a little bit off. Like maybe some of the cuts are from later on in the day where she's like, I'm just gonna look at people, you know, her brain's not fully there. I don't know what it is, but
I think that would be so easy to not look at people and talk to them.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
so much easier.
I think that too, but I think that's why you hire blind actors, because it's easy for us to do. You know, it is like, I feel like Chloe is really, her eye lines are good like that.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
So, you know, this is also a good, like, just for our own reference, like, this is the difference between a blind actor and a non-blind actor and how good they are at eye lines. But yeah, no, it is, sometimes it's kind of jarring because it's like, she does do a good job half the time, but then the other half she just really doesn't, and it's kind of inconsistent. So I feel like I kind of wish either she just was bad all the time or good all the time, because it's like, it's so distracting to me, because it's like I'll always notice when it is bad, but I feel like when someone's just always bad at it, then at least I can like be like, okay, they're always bad at it. But she's like much more inconsistent with how good she is. So
I'm just happy that she is at least putting in the effort. I wish she was more consistent, but I'm happy that she is putting in the effort to at least try.
Yeah, it shows
that, I mean, you know, and there is a visually impaired consultant who is visually impaired on the show.
Yeah,
so
it does, I mean, for a movie or show about blind people, it is so many blind people are working on this show. It is just like unimaginable given doing this podcast, like how many blind people are around.
Maybe she sat down with a couple of blind people or with the visually impaired consultant and had a discussion about this is my blindness. I mean, there are varying degrees of blindness, so
yeah, but she doesn't have any vision, I don't think.
Right.
Because I don't think it would make sense if she did, because there's a lot of things she does that makes it seem like that's the case.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't know. It'll be. I'm excited to watch more though.
Yes,
and I think the eye lines are just kind of like a complaint on a pretty altogether good show. You know, like especially the fact that so many blind people work on it is really awesome, because that's so rare. Okay, so our next movie.
Yes, so next week I'm picking the movie. And I've always wanted to see this movie because it's based on a play, and people have recommended it to me, like, oh, you're blind, you'll like this.
Oh, no.
So we're going to be doing Wait Until Dark, starring Audrey Hepburn as a blind woman who is the victim of a home invasion. So it's going to be real fun.
Very fun. Well, we'll see. I mean, you know, relatively. Mm-hmm. And I apologize that we are doing In the Dark and then Waiting Until Dark. It's very confusing. No. No, but I'm very excited. I think maybe we should just like get all the dark ones out of the way now.
There you go.
Just go on it.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah, exactly. But heard In the Dark this week, but you'll have to wait until dark.
Yes.
So there you go. Then now it works. I figured a way in. And then I guess our last segment is the thing that we cannot see but love anyway.
Right. Oh, good. Okay. I'm gonna cue mine up real quick. So why don't you go first?
Okay. My thing for this week is is Sense8, the TV show that ended. I'm not actually sure. I think maybe like a year ago or something. It's been on for a bit, and I watched it when the episodes were coming out. It's the Wachowskis. It's a Netflix TV show that is so expensive to make, and so it only lasted 2 seasons. But it is like, I mean, I think a lot of people know the plot, but just to like go over it, it's kind of like just a bunch of people, as well as 8 people who are a world in which people are like connected through this pod where their kind of consciousness in a way and emotional things or emotional reactions, but also like physical presence are interlinked, and they can kind of like do all these things where they're kind of taking over each other's bodies or like being with each other even when they're not physically with each other, all this stuff, and it's kind of just about this. It's fantastical, but it's just very much comfort food. So I recently watched the last like movie, but because the finale was a movie, because everyone got really upset because they canceled the show and it didn't really end at all, so they made a movie to actually end the show. And so I was just like, I think I'm gonna go back and watch it because I just want some comfort food right now. So that's my thing.
I love it. My one of my directors for Titus, or the director for Titus Andronicus, was super obsessed with that show when it was on. So he loved it.
It is something that I feel like most people that it has like an obsessive fan base. It's kind of like Veronica Mars.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, okie dokie. For mine, you're gonna want to play that clip. My favorite part. Okay.
What is this?
Oh, I was so hoping you would ask. So I stumbled upon this after we were having. I was playing D&D on Tuesday with some friends. And I YouTube just recommends the strangest things to me because I watch strange stuff.
Have you gotten like Nazi propaganda yet?
Oh, not yet, thank goodness. But I've gotten lots of fat shaming stuff, which has been very sad.
That's cool.
Yeah, but luckily YouTube gave me this. So this is a genre of music called bardcore. And if you didn't recognize the song, it is...
Where is the song?
Yeah, so it's Hathaway's What Is Love?
Yeah.
Yeah. So... but it's done in the style of bardcore, which is a medieval styling to songs. So there's a whole playlist. That's just one of like 200 or something music videos. But people have taken popular songs and have redone them in the style of medieval dances.
I feel like these are the most like 2020 recommendations. This is why we have the internet, basically.
Yes, it made me so happy. I can't explain it. I loved it. I've listened to, that's probably my favorite one. But also Bad Romance has a really great cover. Take on Me is also really good. The Eurythmics, Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. I mean, wow. It's great because of course the lyrics are changed a little bit because you can't have modern sounding lyrics in a medieval song. So thou hath wounded my heart, baby don't hurt me.
Oh, that's what they're saying. I couldn't actually understand.
So the song goes, baby don't hurt me no more. That's the actual, like, that's Hathaway's lyrics, but it's Thou hath wounded my heart. And the chorus is, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. But it's a medieval version. So the chorus is, hey, nonny, nonny, hey. Okay, I can't do it. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
It just made me so happy. It's wonderful. So yeah, if you search for Bardcore, Bardcore, on YouTube, or if you search for your favorite song and to find if there's a Bardcore version of All Star.
Oh yeah, of course there is.
Of course there is, because there would be. So that's
Bardcore.
Yeah, I love it. Bardcore is making me very happy this week. And if you're looking for something else to watch on YouTube, I also recommend Defunct Land. It's this really cool, if you're into theme parks or how they work or the history of things, Defunct Land is a series of videos that talk about attractions that no longer exist.
Do they go to the ruins? I'm obsessed with abandoned amusement parks.
They don't. It's mostly just documentaries talking about. They're not necessarily focusing on straight up abandoned things.
That's my YouTube series.
Oh, that's good stuff.
In my dream life.
Now they do talk about like Nara Dreamland and parks that have been abandoned,
but they don't go there.
No, because other people have.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it's like, I just love it.
Yeah. Oh, no, I totally get it. Like yesterday, they just put a video out. Yesterday's video was a documentary on Coney Island.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know much about Coney Island. So that was really interesting.
That is kind of fun. Being a Southern California kid, I feel like we're very we're programmed into amusement parks. It is just such a specifically, I mean, like really it is what childhood is to anyone in Southern California.
And growing up in Alaska where you don't have access to any of that stuff.
Oh,
I mean, my family and I ate, slept, and breathed amusement parks. I know more stats about actual amusement parks that I've never been to. So
that is very interesting because that's true in Southern California also, but it's because you go to them all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ours was because we've never been. So I've always been fascinated about theme parks in general, how they work, how they are laid out, how they're built. It's so cool. So yeah, that series is called Defunct Land. They have 3 seasons now. They also have a spin-off show called Defunct TV. That's super great. Their Jim Henson miniseries is fantastic. All about the life and times of Jim Henson.
I did an internship at Jim Henson Company.
What? How do I not know that about you?
There's so many things about me that I just like to sprinkle them in throughout my life to people.
The coolest person ever.
Not really. I can't be on record as agreeing to that, but thank you. Well, thank you for listening, all you people listening. I am really deteriorating.
We love you. We appreciate you. Today's been weird.
Yeah, you're getting a window into why I hate Murphy's mom so much. This is what my brain becomes in the heat very quickly. It's not even that hot. Okay, so our credits. Our theme song is by Lucia Fasano. Our Twitter is White Cane Pod. Our Instagram is Citizen White Cane, and our Facebook is Citizen White Cane as well. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to citizenwhitecanepod@gmail.com. And there's a link in the show notes if you want to leave us a voice message. Let us know if you how your cane looks. Is it beat up or is it pristine? What are some other things?
Do you have a guide dog? Is his name Pretzel? If you don't have a guide dog, what would you name your guide dog?
And would it also be a snack food? What snack food if it was?
Skittles.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's very cute. Oh wow! I mean, raisin's kind of cute too. But what's yours?
Cute too.
We'll just name our own. What do you think that we should defund the police? How do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine? And would you, in this heat of a subject that you've lost friends over, any of those things, let us know with the link in the show notes. Also, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, and tune in next week for
Wait Until Dark.
Yes, Wait for it. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Listen, breaking.
You want someone to make fun of you?
Yeah.
Fine, I'll make fun of you. It's sort of my specialty. Check out this menstruating dork. Her uterine walls are shedding their lining. Man, she's so lame. She probably has a vagina and everything.